Okay, so we're going to start, so I can please ask you to take your seats. Okay, so after the coffee break, we're going to have the next session. This is going to last until the lunch break, and it will be divided in 3 different panels. And we will have the digital innovation hubs in practice. So we will have different interviews and discussions with companies and hubs to see how they collaborate together and how benefited from this collaboration. So in this panel, we will do a different structure, a little bit different. So we will have a short round of interviews with each of the speakers, and then some common questions, hopefully, if we are not running too late, and so that they can also exchange views. So in this first panel, we will be looking in particular at how hubs are helping companies and also how they can help them overcome the challenges they face when they want to accomplish their digital transformation. So I will introduce you first to all our panelists, and then we will go for the individual interviews. So first we have Oscar Lázaro. He's Managing Director of Innovalia. This is the associated research lab founded by the Innovalia Alliance, and they are also members of the Automotive Intelligence Center in the Basque Country. And next to him we have Lauren Marquez. He is CEO of FlexHex. This is a startup that has been born from the I4MS Reconcile project, where they developed an autonomous robot work cell, as we will see in a few minutes. And we have as well Victoria Moreno, who is project officer at Answer. This is a Spanish technology company of software development, and they have been involved in the Smart Anything Everywhere project CPSE Labs. And next to me, I have Tommy Elias. He's founder and president of Arctur. This is an HPC center based in Slovenia that provides technology transfer and supercomputing services, and that has participated in several I4MS experiments. And finally, we have as well Andreas Socklenburg, who is CEO of Cloud SME, and this is a spin-off company founded as a result of the I4MS Cloud SME project, and they foster cloud-based simulation for SMEs. So this is a bit the overview of who we have with us, and we will start the interviews, the very short interviews with each of them. So Oscar, I will start with you. And as we said before, you're Managing Director of Innovalia, and you've been involved in several of these experiments in building the I4MS ecosystem. So can you please tell us a bit what's the importance of these ecosystems and the relevance of this collaboration for innovation?
Okay, maybe, I think it will be easier with the support of a slide.
Only one slide.
Yeah, only one, only one. Fully packed, only one. No, in this slide, basically what we try to explain is what is the strategy that we have followed in setting up a digital innovation hub that is very much connected and linked to the automotive industry. And the main idea and the main rationale of what we put together, that is basically putting together a competence center that is dealing with advanced quality control services. So this is the main area of activity, trying to support companies in building zero-defect manufacturing processes through the use of cyber-physical production system. So this is the main focus. But what is important is basically to realize that we are trying to hook and to connect with a sector that has a strong background. And it is important to build a digital innovation hub in alignment and building on this previous background. So that is the main idea and the main reason why we decided to locate our competence center and the hub in connection with the Automotive Intelligence Center. The Automotive Intelligence Center is an open innovation ecosystem that brings together the research units from major manufacturers and OEMs in the automotive sector already. So it provides to us 3 key elements that are very important for the digital innovation hubs. Access to manufacturing infrastructures, because with cyber-physical systems there is a strong hardware and manufacturing element that we need to put together. It brings us access to very committed innovation companies that really want to challenge the existing manufacturing processes. And this open innovation ecosystem is critical for upskilling and reskilling the workforce. So the learning factoring element in this ecosystem was already very strong. And then we are adding the digital dimension to this upskilling and reskilling.
And you were mentioning that when you work with these SMEs and these companies, in your view, because you work with them, you know what they face in terms of digital transformation, do they all share some common challenges that they normally have in terms of going digital? What are the main features or main things that they seek help?
Okay, I would say if I had to pick up only one, probably the main challenge is how to turn technology into business. Okay, so when we talk SMEs, they are not really looking for technology. They are really looking for solutions. And that is a big difference. Solution means business. Solution means process transformation that obviously will be supported by digital technologies. But I would say the main challenge is how you speak with an SME, and you don't only address the technology dimension, but really look into how to build the value and business for the company. That is the main barrier. If you break that barrier, then they are open to the use and to the application of any technology, because there is a business, a return of investment behind the solution.
And just linking to that, how do you think the hubs can help in that challenge? Can they really fix that gap?
Okay, I think there is a key role to play for digital innovation hubs. The first one is awareness. Awareness, obviously, about technologies, but I think success stories is really what brings attention from SMEs. So one success story is more powerful than 1,000 hours of technology presentation. You can capture SME attention just understanding how other companies are making use of these technologies that digital innovation hubs provide access to, and convert that into really profit, into competitiveness, really access to market. So this is really the key role I can see.
Okay, so thank you very much. I will take that point of the success stories, and that will lead me to the next speaker. So we have with us Laura Marquez from FlexHex. And you can probably tell us a bit the view from the SME side, and maybe as well the success story that we were talking about. So in your case, it's a particular case because your company has been born from the results of the Reconcile project. So maybe we could start by sharing with you, or you sharing with us in this case, how the Reconcile project worked, what was the project, and how did it lead to the company that you have now in FlexHex?
Sure. When you say Laurent Marquis, it looks Spanish, but it's not. I'm French, living in Denmark.
So Laurent Marquis.
Yeah. It's not a problem. But when I come here yesterday, it was a shock for me. It was very cold in Denmark and very in Spain. That's true. The FlexHex is quite interesting because it's a spin-out of a project running, the Reconcile project, which is about reconfigurable fixtures for manufacturing industry, assembling, welding, and things like that. And from this project, a small part of it, this small hexapod you see on the screen, came out as a finished product. And of course, when you have a product like that, which is working, which is testing, which gives some good results, you are just thinking of making a company and making some business out of that. So it's what we start to do this year, and taking this product out and try to build a company from that. So it's a direct consequences of the project, you can say.
So maybe you can tell us a bit what's the status of the company at the moment, because as you said, it was founded like 2 months ago, if I'm not wrong.
Something like that, yes. Yeah.
So what is the status at the moment, and especially how much do you think you can open new markets with this new product, with this innovation?
Yeah. The status, and I think it is also one of the points that has been raised before, when you are starting a company like that, it is to find the markets, of course, and it is to find the financing to do that. And there's two difficult issues, of course, when you are a new started company. But one of the points which is important to notice here, it is that we are not alone. We are, as I say, a spin out of the Reconcile. So we are still a part of a group of people working on that, a hub, with Joseph Stefan Institute supporting us with something, with the Blue Ocean Robotics in Denmark supporting also the hub and things like that. So we have people behind us. So even if the company is young and the number of employees is very limited to one, as it is today, We have all these things behind us, and Joseph Stefan Institute is helping us making more development on the product. We have a company able to produce the product, and the Blue Ocean Robotics helping us to make some more development and research on the product also. So it's it's a community helping on the project. I think that's an important point.
So I would like to ask you exactly about that, because you're mentioning this impact of the collaboration. So can you explain a bit based on your experience in the Reconcile project? Because the collaboration is at the end the core of the Digital Innovation Hub. So how do you see this as a benefit for your company and also for other companies? Why do you think that it matters, this kind of bringing actors together?
I think the first thing to say it is that the resources, the human resources, because it's a lot of research. This product has not come by itself. It's many years of research by one of the professors for the Joseph Stefan Institute, of course. So it's a long process where the product had been tested before at different kind of industries and to get an application. And that was, I can say, the luck of the product. It is to get an application with a Reconcile, because it is a working cell, it's working, it is presented, and there is also an end user behind that. And I think that we will also have Ziga from Elves showing also the product. So it's a complex system involving all the partners. And I think that the main point here it is that to get energy from everybody to push the product out. And we are still working with the Joseph Stefan Institute. It is important to say also that there is a patent behind, a patent application, which has been sent also by in collaboration with the Joseph Stefan Institute. So they have some part of the patent also. And that makes, of course, the things working together. So it's collaboration things, I would say.
And just very quickly, final thing. This is a product that can actually help other companies to get more digital at the end. So do you think that in this case, and maybe in some other cases, innovation leads to more innovation? Is this the way to make other companies also getting more digital and taking advantage of digital transformation?
Yeah, I think you are right, Rena. It's a way of doing it. The thing now is when I hear also Oscar speaking about that in their company they are involving the automotive industry and SMEs and things like that. And that's the point of using the hub. It is to help each other also. And I will very be pleased to discuss with Oscar after that and see how we can also promote the product in other hubs. And I think that's that's a community of the whole hubs that can help to promote this kind of companies.
Indeed. Okay, so let me move now to another SME, maybe another success story we have here. So, Victoria, you come from Answer Tech, and this is a Spanish company, and you've participated in the Smart Anything Everywhere project, CPSE Labs. So, can you tell us a bit what was the project about, and how did it make an impact to Answer?
In this project, I've been participating Answer, that is a software developer SME from Spain, and also Centic, that is the technological center of the information technologies and communication in the region of Murcia. And the project consists in collect data coming from different data sources, like the next standardizes it called, also from drones and from sensors installed in different roads, to provide new services in the area of incident and emergency management. The main impact or the main concept of the project is the technological readiness evaluation of the big data platform, Sophia 2, that has been developed by Indra, and considering the new requirement of the public safety and scoring point in the European market.
And how has this benefited or make an impact in Answer? How is the company benefiting from participating in this kind of project?
I think that maybe we can summarize three main impacts. The first thing is the opportunity to work with a new technology, like is the big data platform, and also find a new area where to apply this technology, because before this technology platform has been applied to different sectors of smart city, but not in cyber protection. And also, thank you to this, we have created a strong synergy with a very big company here in Spain, like is the case of Indra.
Yeah. And this a bit not so much about the hubs, but you were mentioning here different technology fields and different technologies. So why is it relevant that companies like yours that are software, you are already technical per se, let's say, but why is it relevant that you also explore different fields and innovate in other areas as well? Why is this important?
Well, thank you to the participation in this project. Now, Centig and Answer have installed a data center processing in Murcia, where is installed Sofia and is running and is ready to provide new services for big data collection, big data analysis. Then we are able to provide new services in the area, and in the region of Murcia, these play a referent role in this sector. And also Answer has opened a new business model in the area of cyber protection and also in transport, because we are starting working in these areas.
Okay, so you were mentioning Centig in this case. You've worked a lot with them. So this is a bit related to what we were discussing before with Laurent. Laurent, that's right. So about this idea of working with the competence centers, with the hubs, why is it important that companies and SMEs in particular work with these kind of research centers and bring those two worlds together? Why do you think that this is relevant?
Yeah, I think because as he said, Oscar, that we can be aware of everything, no? Because at the end, a center like this have a lot of connection with a lot of SMEs, with different technology, and when you have a doubt or you have a problem, you can talk with them, okay, I know this company, and they can collaborate with you in this way, and this other technology can be applied to this problem, and I think that for a small company, this is very beneficial at the end.
Yeah. And just to wrap up, just the final thing, we were talking before as well with Oscar about the challenges. So in your case, you come from an SME, you know what are the main things. So what did you face when you want to accomplish digital transformation? Or in this case, you're already a software company. So what are the main challenges when you want to innovate, test new things? What is the main barrier that you find?
I think in our case, is the time of the project, because it's been a bit short, only 9 months to develop everything and make some pilots, and then maybe a challenge is the time, but we have a lot of people working on that. But at the end, the main challenge maybe start with a new technology that is totally new, but as you say, we are software developer. At the end, it's a challenge that you can face every day, but I can find more challenging related to that, because for us it's been a very good opportunity to improve our.
So lucky you as a company, probably. But okay, thank you very much. So let me now get the view from a different perspective again. So we have Tommy Elias from Arctur, and you're an HP center based in Slovenia, and you've worked quite a lot in the iFormas project Cloudflow. So there you've been involved in several experiments, and you provided your services or your facilities to other SMEs so that they can test innovations. So how has this made a difference to those SMEs, but also to Arctur as a company? What's the benefit in both sides?
Yeah, we were involved both in Cloudflow and Fortissimo. And for SMEs, usually this is lower costs, better profit, higher sales, faster time to market, or just a better product, like designing a new aircraft, which cannot be done without the huge HPC involvement. For us, it means new customers, new markets, better visibility, lots of new ISVs involved, a huge network of domain experts, because we are not experts of, I don't know, fluid dynamics. And at the end, very important, trust. As a small company from a small country, it's very hard to gain trust, but in a consortium with very glorious, very famous organizations, it's much easier. People trust you by default.
And talking about the SMEs, we can probably say that nowadays not sufficient SMEs know the benefits of this kind of technology and of HPC. So what should be done so that these companies, and especially the small players, are aware of how they can work with these and how they can make business out of it?
I think there are three things. So, first is awareness, second is specific know-how, and the third is affordable hardware and software. So when I talk about awareness, it's very hard. You have to go around and see whether SMEs has the potential to use HPC. And we are doing this. We even developed a special assessment tool so the SME can check whether they have a potential. And if they have a potential, they can go together with us or other centers, step by step towards the goal. The second, it's know-how. It's support from HPC experts is needed, but also support from software vendors and the support of domain experts. So these are all three things SME needs really much. The third thing is affordable hardware and software. So we have to change business models from buying and software license, buying hardware, to pay-as-you-go models. And I think we were successful in these two projects by breaking the barriers, and more software vendors are approaching this type of, which is ruining their business now, but it is the business of the future, so they have to adapt as soon as possible.
And do you think, regarding those main key issues that you mentioned, do you think that the hubs are or can be the solution, so that they are the places where these things can be solved, or is at least supported?
Yes, of course, because we have to support SMEs before and after, and in the mean. So the easiest thing is when they approach us with a certain problem and they know about HPC. This is easy. We help them to scale up. We help them to deploy the software. Find some other experts in our network, but usually we have to start much before. They come with a problem, so we have tradition industry, and Chinese are pressing with low prices. What can we do now? Do something else. So most of the time I have to engage all my entrepreneurial, let's say, imagination to help those guys from very different fields and say, okay, you can use, I don't know, these for other things. Why don't you make other things? And it's a long process, and Arctur itself cannot do it, of course, and that's why we need digital innovation hubs, because it's a process, and at the end, when they do all this transformation, digital innovation hub has to help them to promote this, to launch the product, and to be, especially from the small countries.
Okay, very good. So I will go now to the last speaker, and I'm sure you can probably complement a bit your views in some aspects.
Yeah.
So Andres, you're CEO of Cloud SME, and this is a spin-off company from the project with the same name. So maybe you can tell us, first of all, what's Cloud SME and how has it evolved from a project to a company, and what are you offering now as a company?
Yeah, okay. The Cloud SME project ended end of March 2016. And the company Cloud SME starts at beginning 2016 and was founded out of the SME project members. And at the moment we have 6 shareholders from 5 countries in Europe. And this is the funding, and this starting process was quite challenging because we are quite new. The idea to have something like a European startup out of a European research project we were one of the first in our region to notify. So the notary doesn't know anything, the consultancies doesn't, we made some mistakes. And we also recognize that, for example, that accessing for finance with an international startup is not doable, at least, because if you got money from a funding bank, and we had our regional funding bank has offered us amount of money, but we couldn't accept this because because it's credit money, at least, and so the shareholder has has to sign those loans at least, and you can't do this with 5 nations or 6 nations. The translation processes and all the processes in the background are too complicated to do this. So we started with quite a small money, and we decided to start up out of our, let's say out of our revenue, yes? So the market is driving us. And what I can say today is it was a hard time to go through those valley of death at least. And what I'm happy to tell you today is before we presented and delivered our first really bigger commercial use case to one of our customers. And they are really satisfied, and this was really a thing where you can recognize the advantage of cloud computing. And the advantage of cloud computing is the change of the paradigm that normally you are thinking you are using a computer, so I'm using a computer. But with cloud computing, you are able to use more or less on pressing a button 500 PCs in parallel to work on your problem. And that's a big change in the thinking of developers and of the whole industry at least, which is behind this thing.
So maybe you can explain a bit as well how Cloud SME works as a company in terms of the service you provide. So this idea of the service, pay-per-use, all these things that make it accessible for SMEs, and what's the help they find in your company?
So I have to say that this commercial core in what we funded in Germany, in Duisburg, we have, at the moment, we have 6 employees, most of them part-time employed, and we are supported by our networks. So one network is our shareholder network, which is contributing to us, and without our shareholders' contributions, we couldn't, it's necessary, essentials for us. The other part is that we have an advisory board around us, so all the academics which made this Cloud SME project, or most of them, are organized in our advisory board, and it's supporting us and supporting also our customers with consultancy services. So, and without this knowledge from our shareholders, without the knowledge from our academics, Cloud SME wouldn't be able to do anything on the market.
And regarding SMEs and how you work with them, so how we discussed this a bit before with Tommy as well. So what are the arguments that you can use to convince these SMEs of the benefits of using cloud? What do you think is needed so that they realize the potential they can find there?
Okay, I think the first and simple thing is in explaining the technology is to find simple and understandable use cases which demonstrates the benefits of the new technology. That's a main thing. Normally in every speech I have to tell the people what is cloud computing, and what is the difference between cloud computing and this computing on premise. At least it's more or less the base technology is the same. It's just an evolution of the technology. And the people doesn't recognize this, that we are today in a new state of the art, where you can use such infrastructures just on demand and just on pay-per-use. But it is, at the moment, it's not, from our point of view, it's not a normal, usual business. So the market is opening more and more, but it's also, and this is what you told us before, it's also a combination of trust and security. And what we are providing is something like a software-defined middleware, so we are in the same role, more or less, like a data center from point of view of security. So we have to build up trust, we have to get anchor customers, which demonstrates, and the next step for us will be certification, at least, and it's quite expensive, and it's a big process to certificate our platform and our processes. So, and that's quite challenging at the moment.
And just the final thing, when we talk about companies and the SMEs you work with, the SMEs that access your marketplace and use those services, how are they making business out of it, and how is it making a difference for them? You might have some example or some general view in general of how they are benefiting.
I have to tell you that our original idea to to earn money with the marketplace more or less failed, I have to say. So because this was not also, and I see it also in the field for the future. You need a network of people, and this is, and then it is the next step is the digital innovation hub. You need a network around a platform and a community which supports each other, which build up trust, which build up experience, where you are able to share experiences on different platforms, but also on conferences, for example. And this is what this is our experience for today, and therefore we are organizing for our local and regional marketing something like a cloud computing symposium in Duisburg, first time, where we are collaborating with our digital innovation hubs, which were funded by the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. So they are not European digital innovation hubs. And we are going close together with them to cooperate, and our role is cloud computing at least. So and that's the position at the moment. So the business is growing, but the original ideas, at the moment they are not profitable.
Yeah, but you need to adapt then. As
Yes, it is one step after the other. So, and what I say, that other thing, what I like to say is that an SME or a company in general, they don't want to have their apps in an app center. For them, it is necessary to have those apps in their ecosystem for their customers. And this service understanding to build something what the customer, from our point of view, so the small and medium company which need an app for service or for analyzing, yes, they want to present it in their ecosystem. And we are building the instruments that make it really easy to have those apps in their ecosystem. And that's our change of view at the moment.
Okay, good. So I will take some of the points you were making and open it a bit to the rest of the panel. Very quickly, we have 5 minutes. So just as a wrap up, we were discussing the challenges that SMEs face and how the hubs can help. So I would like to ask you just a very quick overview in your cases on how easy do you think is for companies to innovate nowadays, and how do you see the hubs helping in that respect? So just as a wrap up of what we discussed.
Okay, I would make it very, very short. It is not an issue of how easy or how hard it is. It is a matter of survival. So either they innovate or they will be out of the market. And I think this is something that we all have in this room more or less clear with digital transformation. So the question is more how we are effective in making that digital transformation happening. And obviously there is a business opportunity for consultancy, for technology providers, for new equipment developers, but we need to come together. I mean, if we try to do the work alone, without collaboration, then that will be a mess for SMEs, so they will not accept solutions. So I think Hub is critical to align solutions, not to provide technologies or services on their own, and the issue is SMEs must transform, and that is a big opportunity for all.
Yes, from me, innovation, anyway, it's our work. And nothing is coming by itself. So, and the work is done by competencies and people, time, money, customers, and different things. So it's a melting of different things. But for me, the hub is exactly this. It is that you can take part of the community, use the competencies which are developing in the hub, which are very important, and you can use a network. And I think what I've heard today also it is that we have a lot of hubs in different places in Europe, and my feeling is that to connect the whole community together can help the SME like us to go through the market to other places, to get connection, to get contact, and to get the right specialities in the existing or the exacting development we need to do on our product. And that's, I think, that's the role of the hub, and I see that quite interesting when I hear all this against this community. I find it confident that it could be a good way of doing it.
So Victoria, do you agree with that view from an SME as well? Or?
Yes, I think I agree with you, and also it's obvious that in the European Union there are still some difference between the innovation level of different countries and different regions. And I think that if we provide more instruments to bring innovation to the small region and the rest of the part that is difficult to go, is beneficial. Yeah.
So tell me, what's your view on that? How the hubs will help in innovation?
You know, today, doing innovation, it's much easier than it was in the past. So you have, everything is on Google, right? The knowledge is there. You just have to have time to do it. And most of the companies, they don't, because they are stuck in a traditional process, and they are really working hard to survive day by day. So then they don't have time even to Google. And Innovation Hub should be really a promoter, you know, to pick these companies in the region, and they work with them to cross that barrier, to do the first step, and then it's easy.
Good. So let's close with Andres.
Okay, so I think something like digital innovation hubs, or you can name it whatever you want, is those platforms are absolutely essential for sharing information, for motivation, to motivate each other. And that is also our experience in the collaboration with those SMEs, yes, because we are working on daily basis with SMEs. We are doing innovations. So, for example, a traditional data center, which is hosting traditionally on-premise, is now exploring our technology via API and building servers on demand, just pressing a button, have 30 seconds later you have a server, and 2 days and maybe 14 minutes later you don't need it, you shut it down or park it, whatever you want. So this change of working with infrastructures and with information structures, this is quite interesting for people, but it's changing of the mind, it's changing the mindset. So also for developers, and not every developer is aware how he can today work with those flexible infrastructures.
Okay, very good. So do you want to add something?
I just wanted to
one
add.
more minute. So
Okay,
you can
less
take
than 1
advantage of
minute.
it.
I see Digital Innovation Hub as a translator of this very complicated technology on the other side to the real world, in the industry. We were at the Hanover Fair and we were selling HPC, and people didn't know what HPC is. So I needed like 2 minutes to discuss with the top engineer who was doing simulations what HPC is. He said, no, HPC is not for us. But after 5 minutes, we came together that this is it. But we are using funny words, tricky, things, and we think everybody knows this. What is I4MS? We think everybody knows what is HPC in cloud or any other things. Digital innovation hubs are still a new word for the rest of the world. So we have to translate this to the common language.
So we have to make that accessible, not in terms of technology only, but also in terms of how we communicate about them and how we raise awareness about
Exactly.
them. Indeed. Okay, so I think we are exactly on time, so we will leave it here, but thank you very much, all of you. I think this was a good overview of how different companies, different centers are helping each other and collaborating together, and this is at the end the root of the Digital Innovation Hub. So thank you very much.